is like my first video date.
I've seen your other video dates.
Yes. Well, but those weren't dates. I mean, if they were dates, this is more of like a blind date.
Oh, okay.
I've never met anyone for the first time on camera.
We met at Content Marketing World. You don't remember me. It's okay.
That's embarrassing for everybody.
It's just embarrassing for you.
Well, I would also feel a little bit of shame if I were you.
That's true. That's true. Not memorable.
Unremarkable.
Yes. Yes. I was the guy who had the yellow shoes on, if that helps.
Nothing.
Usually, or I was a tall guy, but it's okay.
Nothing.
Sorry.
You left no impression on me whatsoever.
There's shame all over.
There's plenty of shame to be shared. I will say that I don't know if did you read my depression blog?
I did.
Okay, so I was kind of like right on the tail. In fact, it's funny. I'm friendly with Joe Paluzzi, and I'm so friendly with him that I don't pronounce his name properly. And we haven't spoken really since he took his sabbatical. Except maybe here or there. But I knew him back then.
Before he was
right. And I was so pleased to hear how well things had gone for him. I've been admiring his work in the background. Let me just tell Dina I'm on a call, on a video call. Soon.
Yeah, by the way, I had to lock my door because my son tried to come into the office.
That's the best part.
Yeah,
I totally want to meet your son.
Yeah, he's going to take a nap now. But he was trying to barge in while I was talking to another client, so it was pretty interesting. I was like, just ignore the screams in the background. Everything's okay. It's fine. It's the pleasures of working from home.
Yes, I agree.
And Joe Paluzzi back. Yeah,
I did. And after he got off the stage with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I snuck backstage, not to meet Joseph, but to meet Joe.
Yeah.
And tell him how pleased I was about how smoothly that went and how great it's going. And we talked about, maybe we should do this or that at some point. And he said, I'm going to take a break, but I wouldn't be surprised if our paths cross afterward. And I wrote, they asked for feedback. And I wrote feedback and I forwarded it on to him. And I said, it sounds ridiculous that I could say that your event was a life-changing event. But it was a life-changing event for me.
Really?
It was.
How so?
Well, because I was coming off my third, this is more than I shared online, but last year's depression was my third great episode.
Ooh, okay.
It's in the family. And I should be fine until 2023 if I stay, in the, I just hated, I hated the word content. I still don't really like it.
Mm-hmm.
And everything has to be content. Everything has to be content. I was like, that's so exhausting. I just, how can that, God help us. And it's one thing if it's my content. I don't have any trouble writing my weekly journey. That's just me being fluid. I like to write.
Yeah.
But for me to be fluid for a mechanical engineer looking to attract the interest of, software and biomechanical engineers who make a specific device in a medical device, I can't write that copy. Could I write some crappy puffery? Yes, but I can't write something that would appeal to the intellect of someone who, like me, has lived a life of engineering and can really appreciate this shit that's going on in the industry. I don't know that stuff. I can't write that stuff.
Right.
And if I can't write and everything is content, then how impotent am I? How can I do anything?
Yeah.
And I left. Yeah, that's where I was at before the event. Mm-hmm. And what I left with was embracing that this is the new reality, and that not everything has to be stuff you create yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And go for it, spend some money, and create a team around you, because this one-man show thing, I can't be sitting here in Camtasia editing out a few seconds of a video, as well as getting it transcribed and captioned and then having it up in the PDF. And that's a whole day when that's not where I add the most value. Can I do it? Yes, I have those skills.
Yeah.
Should I do it? Absolutely not. So I'm going to pay for it, but I don't know that I'm going to make money if I pay for it. Well, take that chance. Go see what you could do if you did free yourself up to do the stuff that you really, really do. Mm-hmm. And I have, and it's worked, and I feel empowered. And now I have friends again, instead of just sitting here in my office by myself.
Right. Which is so easy for us to do, right? It's like you just like isolate yourself. This is you all day, just by yourself, and you kind of become a hermit. It's easy to fall into.
That's why I was saying, I have a 9 o'clock. I really better take a shower today. That's right. I really did shower for you today.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I did put on this nice shirt for you.
And we're blue.
Yeah, look at that. So are you a one-man show? Save all the 1099s and such?
No, so I have a co-founder who takes care of the actual application and the tech side. We have contractors, a lot of people like what you're doing, where you're like, we find people who do something really, really well, and we have them do that thing for us. So we have contractors who write content. We have analysts who are fantastic at what they do, and they do that. But we are all remote, so we have that challenge. So everybody's
Tell me
remote.
about the analysts. What does that mean for you?
So an analyst for us is somebody who goes into our data, can wrap their head around it, can clean it up, because we use natural language processing. Everybody talks about like marketing AI and all this stuff. Marketing's not really at an AI place. If you're really technical, AI is something that is still really in its infancy. There are some companies that are utilizing it, but you know, I'm sorry, like Salesforce, you're not actually using AI. You're just using machine learning. That's a very different thing than AI. But because we do everything automated to ingest data, we then have an analyst for us, somebody who can go through it and say, this doesn't make sense, this does make sense. So we have like a human factor in there who can just go through and do things that a computer just simply can't. A computer's not very good at context. And so that's something that we do with it. You know, our analysts do. They clean that stuff up and then they help assemble all the pieces for us so that we can then deliver it out to the client. And that way it's the efficiency of automation along with some of the actual like intelligence of an actual human being. It's those two things we try to pull together.
Do you happen to have any clients in life science?
In life science, we have healthcare. Like insurance is kind of the closest thing that we have right now. I'm trying to think. Actually, I have a whole list of people. Let me see.
So not for general consumption, and if you're comfortable sharing it, how long have you guys been around? What kind of revenue do you do? Do you do 7 figures?
We don't do 7 figures yet.
Okay.
We have been around since 2016. We launched, yeah. So we haven't been around for very long. Or in the startup world, we've been around for a long time. So we launched in early 2016. The whole thing started as an idea, and I had worked at a company called Cision for nearly a decade, and I developed a great network around me, really great thought leaders, and I had this idea, pursued it, and then for 6 months, basically shot ideas back and forth to thought leaders saying like, hey, I just want to create something that's going to help people create better content and understand what they should be creating next. And that whole process led to the development of an application. And before it was an application, it was a service where we were just running reports for people. And we launched that application itself at Content Marketing World in 2016. Okay. So that's where we launched the product itself. So the product itself has actually only been around for about 1.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd set this so that we could share a screen as well, but it looks as though I chose the wrong thing and we can't share a screen to get on the recording anyhow. So if I'm able to kind of repurpose this little video for my followers, talk to us as though we don't know what the hell you're talking about. What do you do exactly? And how can I, the viewer of this video, benefit?
Yeah. So what we do is something that is coined content intelligence. That means a lot of different things to a lot of different people because it's a very new term and everybody's kind of scrambling to figure out what it means. For us, what it means is we understand your content and your competitors' content at a topic level. So we can actually identify, here are the topics that work best for you. Here are the topics that actually engage your audience. Here are topics that bring people into your site. Here are topics that you have underutilized. So topics that you covered before, they did incredibly well, but you didn't write about again. And we do the same thing for your competitors. So we'll actually look at their content and say, this is what's working for them. Here are the pieces of content that they've created that do spectacularly. They have topics they cover that are amazing. They do amazingly well. For whatever reason, they only wrote about it one time. And that's like a huge opportunity for any company to say, wow, this actually worked for them. They didn't cover it again. We should go in there. We should start taking that audience and that topic over. But then we also look at a competitor set. So if you have 3 competitors, 5 competitors, 10 competitors, we will look at them and say, here's what they cover as a whole. And we compare that to what you cover and say, okay, here's where you differentiate. Here's where you are kind of in a battle with all your competition. You guys battle over these topics. And then here are your gaps. This is what your competition is writing about that you don't cover. And that's huge. I mean, that right there is like all of your opportunities for content are usually in that gaps report. It says, you're not here. Why aren't you here? And that's probably the most eye-opening piece of what we do is people saying, oh my God, I didn't realize that we don't cover that thing, or that thing is actually of interest to our audience. And we say, yeah, it is.
Questions are spooling in my head now. The first one is more of an assumption on my part. I'm thinking that what you do makes sense for service industries, less so products, and typically for highly competitive marketing services.
I don't want to say
assumption.
So it's interesting. Why is your assumption that? I'm interested in why that's your assumption.
Because first I'll give a nod to the industry I serve, medical devices. Almost no one writes anything. It's like a wasteland of nothing.
Yeah.
It's feature, benefit, here's my product, what's our next promotion, let's get something to the distributors, we're going to a trade show. My social media saying, see us in booth 503.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so any kind of, we've been thinking about the industry holistically, and this is where we see the trends, and this is why these are some behaviors and something you should consider. Those types of observations tend to come from consultants, service people who are like, and therefore you, manufacturer, or you, other service provider, should do these things, and I can help you do these things.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of time that I would write something.
Yeah, there's somebody else kind of like bringing that information to you.
Right. So I'm having a hard time imagining service-related companies that aren't like for hire consultants that would be churning out a volume of content that would make your service valuable.
Okay. So I'll give you an example. Well, what's interesting is the lens through which you're viewing things is obviously through a medical device, and there's a very limited demand for medical devices. It's a very specific audience that's buying medical devices. So like, I totally understand where it's like, hey, like why would we succeed with content in medical device? But in terms of products, a lot of our clients are some of our clients are franchises who are like restaurants or coffee shops.
Okay.
And so what they want to do is understand, hey, what are the things and trends that people are interested in? But not only what are people interested in right now, like a trend that will die.
Okay.
But what is a trend?
Yeah, it's like complaining that he was sick this morning, and mommy made me go to school. And I just thought to myself, we are just asking for him to get on the bus so that in a few hours we have to go pick him up.
He's going to come back, yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening now.
Go figure. It happens, kids.
You just have the 1-year-old?
I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Okay, you haven't quite gotten to the Lucas stage yet. God bless him. Go
on. So in terms of what we find out, what we're actually really finding are what are the topics that are evergreen. And I don't think we've hit an industry yet that doesn't have this idea of evergreen content that, like, at some point people want to know about a thing. Even medical devices, there's got to be some things in medical devices that is universal, whether it's like certain types of regulations or, like what's the process for getting a medical device to market.
These are services.
Those are services. So then
I'm a consultant who will help you get your product through FDA submission.
Right.
I am a consultant who will help you keep your quality management system running smoothly. I'm a consultant who will help you with protecting your intellectual property as you go to commercialize, or someone who will help you do a clinical trial. Okay. These are all consultants. Okay. And most of these are small enough that they simply don't have the bandwidth to be writing this stuff. They just don't. Yeah. Which is when they might come to me and say, hey, Joe, can you help? And I find myself in that situation I described earlier where I'm not a biomechanical engineer. Mm-hmm. I could write some puffery for you, but it would be pointless and I would hate myself for it. And your readers would be like, why did you send this? This doesn't relate to my JD MBA level of understanding of this concept. Right, exactly. Yeah. And so it's hard. They say, okay, this is just something we might get to. They don't. I can't help them make it. It never happens and we move on. And yet, and this is what was my issue last year, if content's the answer and I can't make it for you, and you neither have the bandwidth nor the inclination, and frankly lack the skill and passion to write it, it will not get written. Right. Now take all of that and then add on top, so how many things are there really that are evergreen medical device content? Mm-hmm. Even if, I'm sure there could be like the definitive way to get your device to sail through FDA submission. I'm sure that's a great topic. Even that will have to change all the time as guidelines change. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's a key with any piece of evergreen content. Evergreen content doesn't mean it doesn't change. It just means that people are always looking for it. So it's something you should always be updated. Yeah, anytime something changes, yeah. Because if you're not, then then you're just falling behind. It's kind of a disservice.
I've yet to hear you dispel my notion that you are most helpful for service people looking to get people to use their services to help them do the thing that you've observed as a major thing you should be doing.
No. So most people who use our service are the content marketer themselves, and it's not an agency. It's actually the in-house content marketing person who I was just talking before this call. In-house VP of marketing wanted to better understand their audience, what topics are resonating with on their own site, what's resonating on other sites they own, and then their competition. All in-house.
But the competition, the industry has to be robust enough that they perceive that the competition is writing enough content to either A, mirror, or B, see the gaps.
So yes, so if the competition is writing enough, then that's great. Sometimes the competition isn't writing anything. The competition is terrible. We have a number of clients who have a lot of competitors, but the competitors just aren't writing anything.
Give me an example. Just maybe list 4 or 5 categories. I don't need companies. Categories. Like there's a leader in blank category and nobody's writing anything. This is why this guy is winning so well.
Yeah. So, there's the insurance industry. A lot of people are writing about insurance stuff. So there's a client there who is understanding what's being written, not only with their competitors, but the publication. So there are industry publications across the board. And actually, that's not a very good example for the publications. There's another one. There's a company that we have. They are the leader. They are like the de facto leader in ticket sales for airlines. Every time you buy a ticket for an airline, online, over the phone, whatever, it actually goes through one company. It's not Sabre. It's ATP Co.
Okay, didn't know them, but go on.
Yep. So it goes through ATP Co, who's a client of ours. They have tons, and so they look at their competition, and their competition doesn't write a ton of content. There's not a ton of content around, airline ticketing. It's like, how much do you know?
How much do you need to know?
Well, to do well in content and to actually start leading the game and to start actually honing in on that focused audience, so a very focused audience that they're going after, right? This is not a huge breadth of people who are really interested in this stuff. We look at publishers. So we look at publishers' content. We say, okay, well, what's working well for these publishers? Because every time publishers write something, we always think of publishers as, oh, they're covering trends. The best publishers cover trends and they create evergreen content. They answer the questions that people have. So we look at publisher content as well. We say, okay, well, you have these 7 publishers who are covering your area. We can hone in on just specific sections of their sites. And we can actually then tell you, we know your audience reads these trade pubs. We know that your specific audience reads these specific sections of the trade pubs. We can identify what works for those trade pubs in those sections and tell you, here are your gaps, here's where you're going head to head with them, and here is where you have a quote unquote differentiator, which could be a good thing, or this is language that you use, but nobody else uses that language. You are not speaking the language of your customer.
If it's not proprietary or compromising in any way to share, I don't understand who ATP Co's customer is, what their alternatives are, and what they're searching for that would have them say, oh, we should give ATP Co a call so that they can take my money.
Yeah.
Who is that person?
So I can't say who that person is.
Can you say who that, like is it a business? Is it like an airline?
It's an airline. Yeah, it would be an airline.
So it's someone at United realizing that they don't use ATP Co, they're using Sabre, and what a mistake they've made, and now they're going to switch to ATP Co?
Something like that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it's a very limited, it's very, very, very limited in terms of the audience.
Mm-hmm.
But you can imagine, you have very few people making those decisions. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you're trying to nurture those conversations in any way possible, but being able to be a thought leader and, seen as just not like, oh, you take me out to dinner and you buy me steaks and this, that, and the other thing, but like you are enhancing the experience of the entire industry by creating this content. That goes a long way. Mm-hmm. Even I'm just looking over here. I've got my client list pulled up now, so I need to go through these. A good one, like a coffee franchise. That's another one where coffee franchise, obviously tons of content about coffee and things of that sort. It's almost unlimited. That's a pretty easy one to do. But then there are franchises like clothing franchises. Okay.
Let's stick with coffee for a moment. So I'm Tully's.
Yeah.
Or I'm Seattle's Best Coffee, which I think is now owned by Starbucks, but something.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is very B2C.
Mm-hmm.
It might be, 5 coffee drinks you didn't even think of. And I go read that article. I'm like, oh, wow, I could put something in my coffee and that makes it even better. I don't see how that translates into, and therefore I'm going to go buy that coffee or visit that chain or see that coffee as a coffee thought leader that is going to impact what I drink.
Right.
So I'm putting myself before I was, on the outside and working on the inside, I'm thinking, is this really going to move the needle? Am I going to get more sales if I do this? And I'm not seeing the example. I really want to leave this call saying, oh my God, I know someone I should send to you. Oh, they totally need that. And I'm blank right now.
You bet. Okay. So in terms of the franchise,
okay,
what we are doing is we're helping the franchisor, it's like a Seattle's Best,
okay,
sell to franchisees. Coffee actually isn't the topic that they care about.
I see. For people who are interested in opening a coffee shop, I want you to get a Starbucks franchise instead of a Tully's one.
Exactly.
I understand that.
Yeah. And
okay, so that's a franchise customer. That's not a call. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So for people, we're targeting people who are thinking about being retail entrepreneurs, and I want them to get our coffee, instead of the next soup or sandwich concept.
Exactly. And how do I start talking their language and it's not talking about coffee?
Now I do know someone I should send to you. I don't know if he has the budget, but I do know someone I should send to you.
Okay.
And he does franchises in Washington State.
Okay. So there you go. So like that would be something that would, that's how we would help. So it's like identifying, okay, who are you actually competing against? Well, you're not going to say like, oh, we compete against, well, you could say Starbucks because they probably create a lot of content. But on the franchise side, they probably have nothing. Well, who are you actually competing against? You're competing against any publication that informs potential entrepreneurs of what they should do next.
Got it.
Yeah. So that would be a big one. So there's that there. That's a pretty good one there. Other ones that we have are B2B companies. There's some.
Those are the ones that interest me most. So what would be a B2B example?
Yeah. So a B2B example, we have one company that helps CPG companies get pictures and descriptions of their products and all these things. They help those companies get those pictures and everything into Walmart's flyers or Target's flyers or onto Amazon.com or like all these different places. So I
used to work for Kraft.
Okay. Yeah.
Long ago, before you were born, and so I worked on Jell-O. So I'm a Kraft. I have an entire bank of beautiful food photography that I've done.
Yes.
I help make freestanding inserts and get stuff for the weekly flyer from the grocery store.
Yeah.
How am I using you?
So for this company, it's not the local grocery store. It's all of Kroger, all of Publix,
okay,
all of Super Saver, all of Bakers.
And wants to know how to talk about Jell-O in a way that gets people to come to their store as opposed to Safeway?
No, it's getting those individual companies like a Kraft to use this other company to basically manage all of their digital assets, so that when they make an update to that, that Jell-O screenshot, that picture, that automatically gets sent to every single retailer that they have. Okay. And so you don't have like old pictures sitting around like that. And so that your idea when you say like we're running a coupon, that happens automatically. Boom.
It sounds like they're introducing a new concept. I mean, it may not be new anymore, but
right, it's not.
It's in 1995.
Yeah. So if you're familiar with like product information management, content management, product content management, something like that. So what they need to do is they need to reach out and find the actual CPG brands and show them like,
it's not presently using any asset to manage their digital work and are going individually.
Yeah, or they're using a competitor, and what they need to do is grab that audience and bring them over and say, we know you're using a competitor. We're going to give you all these amazing pieces of content to at least engage you. And our goal at first is just to engage you. It's just to like get you to our site. It's to give you solutions and basically prove that if we can give you solutions to your problems for free through content, imagine what you could get if you paid us.
Okay. I got to tell you a quick story that you'll appreciate as it relates to this particular industry. So in 95, I worked on the shortest lived product in the history of the Post cereal company.
Really? Which one?
It was called Golden Raisin Crisp.
Okay.
Are you in my box down here still?
Golden Raisin Crisp.
Well, I have you look over there's a poster of it on my wall.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So Golden Raisin Crisp, it scored so well in trials, and it was off the charts. And what Golden Raisin Crisp is honey bunches of oats with raisins.
Okay.
So honey bunches are still around.
Yeah, totally.
The honey bunches had come out. It was regular and there was almond, and they said, let's try it with raisins. They did a test market in Phoenix, and it did so well that they said, you know what? Let's create a new brand around it so that we don't cannibalize HBO sales.
Yeah.
And they came out with this concept. It scored so well, and they said, we're going to launch this thing. And it's a longer story. It's really rich. I love telling it. It's longer than you need to know. But basically, when it came time to actually market the thing, they said, well, we don't want to cannibalize HBO sales, and we don't want to cannibalize Raisin Bran sales. So our marketing and our positioning on the shelf and where it should go, it should be in this specific place in the planogram. And, we don't want to say anything too disparaging about this or that.
Right.
So we were left with GRC. Means crisp and crunch, tastes so good you eat it for lunch. It's got to be GRC. Get it? Golden Raisin Crisp. Anyhow, that's an aside. We also sold a brand called Golden Crisp, which, if you're just old enough, you might remember that there used to be a character called Sugar Bear.
I remember Sugar Bear. Oh yeah.
But I can't get enough of my Sugar Crisp.
Yep.
Well, when there was a huge outcry about sugar, they said, can't get enough of my Golden Crisp. So one day we saw the flyer come back from a grocer, and what they had done to feature Golden Raisin Crisp on sale, apparently they couldn't find Golden Raisin Crisp art, so they took Golden Crisp and they X-Acto knifed out the word raisin and stuck it on the Golden Crisp box.
And with a digital asset management, you wouldn't have had that happen.
You know what? You can take this entire story and let them play it for their audience.
I should just send that to them now.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, there you go. So there was you had a need back then, and nobody was fulfilling that need.
No one was fulfilling that need.
It took.
Damn you, Internet 1995.
That's
in fact, I'll also tell you that in '95, I was assigned to the Internet team.
Ooh.
And I was like, what the, what?
What's the
Internet? It was total, like, it's the equivalent of taking a gut course in college. Like, all right, we're going to have our Internet meeting now. And we'd all dial in. We'd be like, just listening. And we'd hear something like, the Internet's really good at this and that. And we're like, okay, so we'll meet next time and we'll talk about, like, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, that was the Internet strategy for Kraft Foods in 1995.
You know who Jay Bear is, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Have you heard Jay Bear's story about he was early in the internet and his stories?
Which one?
That he and his friend, before you had to pay for domain names, they had
a case of beer. I got that one.
Yeah, the 50 cases of beer for Budweiser.
Mm-hmm.
And then his buddy got $7 million for beer.com. Did you hear that?
Probably that part I forgot.
Yeah. That's the reason why he's out there speaking right now, is because his buddy was the one who bought it to him. Yeah. So yeah, I kind of wish I could go back in time.
I remember hearing about like this concept of internet squatters, just thinking of them as these rogue, petty, just living in their parents' basement kind of. And when I'm looking for a site these days and it says that's taken, but you can bid $10,000 for it, I'm like, yeah. I'll just put LLC at the end of it. I don't care, and I'm not buying that shit. In fact, in 2008, this was kind of a big, like, one of those pivotal things for me. William Arruda wrote a book called Career Distinction, I think it was, and I visited, an hour-long webinar, and all I remember him saying was how important it was to stake out your digital real estate. And he said, go ahead and type your name in and see if you show up on page 1, because people who want to do a background check on you are going to type your name and see if they can even find you. And so when I did, there were all these rogue Joe Hages out there, and I was like, fuck that. I am totally going to take these other Joe Hages down. And I now am like 8 of the top 10 Joe Hages, I'm proud to tell you.
Nice.
I won Joe Hage after I wrote an article called Those Other Joe Hages. And I used the term Joe Hage like 50 times in the article. And I talked about the best Joe Hage, the smartest Joe Hage, the most qualified Joe Hage, and other Joe Hages I will not mention, that kind of thing. And I've been the #1 Joe Hage ever since.
Nice.
I forget why I told you that story. Oh, I know why I told that story. I told you that story because some asshole bought joehage.com.
Oh,
he was just squatting on it. And I was like, I'll be damned if I'm going to buy joehage.com. So I created joehageonline.com, and I put Joe Hage to shame.
That's nicely done. He deserved it.
I did. I worked for it. The #1 Joe Hage at the time was like the CEO of something and the board member of something else. And I found him later on. I playfully wrote him and, talked about this. And, well, he never responded. That Joe Hage has no sense of humor. You totally want to hang with this Joe Age.
Oh man,
that Joe Age is a dick.
I remember. By the way, I checked. There's another Brandon Andersen who's actually semi-famous. He's a photographer. He's like a rock and roll photographer. And I got BrandonAndersen.com. I scooped it up real early. But he has AndersenBrandon.com. And he had pictures go viral where he was taking pictures of rock stars before and after a concert. It was really cool. And he got picked up everywhere. Like
it was like here I am, like still like, and then at the end, like my hair's like this. I'm
like that. Yeah, they're like just complete messes. And so he was all of a sudden like the top of the result. And I was like, no, like same. He was like, the hell with this. Like I'm taking over this thing. And now if I do a search, and if you do a search, I should appear the entire page I own for Brandon Andersen. Just Brandon Andersen, Andersen SEN. And it took a while because I've got author bios like with O'Dwyer's. I got author bios with Crunchbase. Cision, but man, I knocked that guy off. Felt good. But
you're not Brandon Andersen Chicago.
Brandon Chicago is me.
It is, and yeah. Andersenology is you.
That's me. And that Facebook profile is mine.
Okay, You're not Brandon Andersen Flickr.
No. Oh yeah. Oh, see, I've got that as my 12th result.
No, it's number 10, man.
Well, that's RankBrain. That's not real. That's RankBrain.
I don't know what that means.
RankBrain is basically Google's new. This is actually kind of close to artificial intelligence. Their new way of ranking, and one of the signals they use is they look at they give you a set of results, right? So they say like, okay, you search for this thing, here's your results, and then they pay attention to which ones you click on, and then if you click on one, and then you come back. And we wrote about this. If you click on one and come back, it's pogo sticking. And that basically is a sign to Google that says, oh, that didn't give you what you wanted. I'm going to rank that lower. And if enough people, do that same thing where they go, oh, nope, I didn't want that next one, it actually tells Google which one is actually solving their problem. And basically, if somebody clicked on something and then never went back to that search page, it means that they probably got their problem solved, or they just got super frustrated and gave up. But Google makes assumption they solved their problem. So
the last one before I abandoned was the right answer. Is Google Brain?
Google RankBrain.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm paraphrasing what I think you just said, and that is whatever the last thing I looked for was the right answer.
That was the right answer.
Okay.
And anything that I looked at before that wasn't it was not the answer and should be penalized.
I got it. I'll just take a quick pause. I'm really enjoying our conversation. I've had you for almost an hour. Do you have to go?
I do have to go at 1, so I have a hard stop.
5 minutes.
We got 5 minutes.
So what is one thing that I might be able to do for you? I'm not looking for business, trust me, I'm not. I'm blessed. But what could I do if I was like, I really like that guy, I want to help him? What could I do?
Referring people to us. If you feel like you were talking about before, if there's somebody who you feel like we could help, our whole business is really just to help people better connect with their audience. That's at the foundation of what we're doing. That was my goal. It was just, how can we help people better connect with their audience and build trust with their audience in a very real way.
And it makes me sad to say that in medical devices.
What is it? It's kind of more like who you know in medical devices, referrals.
I mean, again, I'll bring you back to where we started, the article that kicked off my journey, which was my dismay that I was unable to help this guy who helps medical device manufacturers design and develop and manufacture their product.
Yeah.
Because there are dozens. And my logic is that the one you choose is someone that you know, someone that used to work with you, or, the idea, I suppose it happens, but the idea of a blanket RFP to all firms that design and develop, and whomever comes back with the most compelling price and blah, 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 I don't think that's really how it works. And there's no such thing as saying, hey, September only, anyone who contacts us will get a free toaster, or we'll give you 10% off your first prototype. There's no offer other than it's just too big an idea, too big an investment of time and an opportunity cost to go with someone you think is not going to make the best thing. So how do you evaluate that? Yes, there could be 2 or 3 thought leaders, and they are the companies that are doing tens of millions of dollars and have 100-person staffs and are talking at all of the trade shows and are frequently being interviewed.
Yeah.
But for the 50 or fewer employee people that typically say, Joe, can you help me? I'm like, and I don't like having that expression on my face saying, I really don't know what I would do for you. Other than doing these things that the big ass companies are doing that you can't possibly replicate.
I think so that's interesting. Well, and I think that so you put a limiter on that. You said you can't possibly replicate what these big companies do because they have so many resources. You can't do what they do. I'd say you can't do the volume that they do. There's no way.
But you can try to win a term and pick the,
Yeah, you can win little battles at a time. And it's like, just what's a term that you want to own?
And Brandon can help you win and figure out what battle you want to win.
Exactly. So that's what we do is we identify, here are the battles that here are the battles you should actually be fighting. Here's the battles we have. Every time we go through it, we say, okay, we know where you're at with this, and here are your battles. These battles aren't worth fighting right now. Sorry, like you're not there.
It's 1 o'clock. You have a hard stop. But my next question, if we had more time, would be, that's what I call my SEO guy for. Exactly.
So you call your SEO guy for that. One of our clients right now, we looked at their competitor sites. Their competitor went after a term, like their services page, went after a specific term that obviously their SEO guy went after.
Recommended, right?
Content management. It's a term. Content management.
Good luck with that.
Recommended content management because content management has a high search volume.
Ridiculous. A longer tail search would be more logical, and anyone who knows what the hell that they're doing would have known to have challenged that person on that.
Exactly, but they did not. What we do that's very different than that is we're actually looking at what's in your industry right now, what's actually working. We can actually, this is actually working for this company, this term, with this audience that you have. Like, this is the audience that you are after. It's working there. So we're giving a layer of contextual understanding to, it's not just, hey, use this SEO keyword because that's high volume and all that stuff, but we know that this works in your industry. And so you should actually be going after this one. And so that's where we are differentiated from a normal SEO firm. The other thing is that you're actually looking at your entire site at a topic level. So you can actually see like what topics actually drive conversions on your site. You can also see what topics drive social traffic versus organic, because SEO is only organic. It doesn't tell you if it works in social.
I'm going to let you go. I really enjoyed our call. And there's a good chance that next time I see you, I'll remember you. Maybe you might want to consider hats. You do look kind of plain, like you could be any man. You have that, a very agreeable disposition, but you kind of blend a little bit. I don't know if you've ever considered.
I'm an extra, basically, yeah.
Have you ever considered yellow as being your color? Like Joe is orange, that you could be.
Yeah, I just can't. Well, yellow, I do the yellow shoes, but that's just because they're running shoes, that's all. But no, this has been great. I really appreciate it. I will be at Content Marketing World this year. So if you are going.
I don't know that I'm going. I think I might skip this year.
Okay.
Let's see how UBM does it with less Palooza in it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I'm scared, but we'll see what happens with it. But this is great. I appreciate reconnecting with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thanks for your great content. I enjoy every week.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm looking forward to more of yours.
Do you do the drawings?
No, it's actually it's somebody who I used to work with, and she's actually at Black & Decker right now, but she does all the drawings for us. I said my scribbles, and then she makes them look good.
Don't lose her. It reminds me of Market Tunis. Do you follow Tom?
Yep. Market Tunis. Yeah. Wonderful stuff there.
Be well.